Blessed Thursday. Greetings in the name of all that is good. I am G. Michael Reed. This is the Kriol Awakening. This is a weekly podcast where we have no sacred cows, no scapegoats, no fear, no favor, no axe to grind, no agendas, be they religious, political, personal, or otherwise. We're here to sound the trumpet, to say, arise, ye sluggards, the time for sleeping is in the grave. We are to live. Let us wake up and live. Many of us remember that slogan. I believe Sefer used to use it a lot when he was on Radio Belize. Wake up and work was the slogan, I believe, of Honorable George Kriol Price. We're in March, 9th of March is behind us, and we move forward. We're in daylight savings time. And yes, that's a fabulous picture by the Right Honorable George right there, taken by, I believe that was Arian himself, Richard Holder. He has a collection of some beautiful pictures. He was explaining to us one day when he was on the show that it was spontaneous. It was not planned or anything, and he saw Mr. Price and he just took that and it just came out. And I don't think he could have posed for a better picture than that. Or could Richard had found a more fitting portrait that displays the character of Mr. Price? Humble, God-fearing, people-serving, just a leader of an exemplary character. We have not seen the like since, and I do not think we will see the likes anytime soon. We're expecting a special guest this evening. Hey, Aaron, how are you doing? Pleasure to have you on board. Stick with us. Dickie should be on tonight, and the Venerable Dickie Bradley, and he's always full of sage comments and advice. Aaron has been with us before, and we'll have to get him back on again. Now that he's out of the political picture, he might be more likely to give us frank views. He may kind of like, I think, straddled by some allegiances before. But I don't know, Aaron. This the mess, boy. And when you're in the belly of the beast, you just have to hope in a burp loud enough to get you out of there. But you survive. I don't know how things are looking now from your end. I don't know where you. We have to meet again soon and talk. We're expecting, of course, Mr. Jeremy Spooner, the able representative of the whole Caucasian nation, bringing his particular views to the show. Joe Cowie should be joining us later. I've not heard from him. I don't know if he's in town or down south. He has a lot of business interests in Placentia also, so he's usually traveling there. And of course, from the west coast of the US of A, Mr. Gregory Morrison should be joining us. Oh, the devil, here comes the, ooh, look what the cat drag in. Well, I'm to you, there's a
Um,
shine.
I met a girl today and she says she thinks I look sexy like this, so I decided tonight I know we're nothing on my head. But
One voice, one lie, they tell
you
you,
know,
and you
so
change
let's
your.
hurry up. Let's hurry up with the show because I have to meet her later on. All right. So
No, you don't want to hurry then because you know embarrass. Never be too quick to embarrass yourself. You know, think it's over and done. But Booth says over now. You're done.
look call me a minute man for nothing.
Uh, all right.
All right, Mr.
Oh,
Anderson. Good night. Good night, Mr. Anderson. Good night,
he,
Mr. Reed.
he's still good night, sir. He's still an executive member of the UDP. I'm thinking that and sure he run out of the door. Man, wait. The man look like he's still
We need a Caucasian. If we've got China man now, we need a white man in the UDP.
boy, yeah, see, when you're gone right away. I know, and I
Right
carry me
away.
down. I carry me down the rabbit hole. Um,
Yeah.
I like the new title, by the way, Kriol Awakening, though it doesn't encapsulate the entire body. You're just speaking of Caucasian, and we have, of course, all different ethnic groups here. At first glance, we got about six, no? We have the Maya
Yeah.
Indians, we have the Hispanics, Spanish speakers, we have the Garinagu, we have the white race, of course. Then you have the Creole, and we have the African Belizeans, if you will, if you can put
Yeah.
them in separate categories like that. But for the most part, I think the overriding factor, the whole sum of it is that we are Belizeans, one and all. And when we get to that point of understanding that and not competing to see who's better than who, I think we'll move further ahead. And in these times, Jeremy, of much troubles worldwide, we need to establish our identity and stick together. We're saying.
Yes, most definitely. But the world has been through these troubles before. You and I, at our age, have seen this. Remember
But I
the
don't know that we've seen this dance like this, Jeremy. We've seen some troubling times. We've seen challenges, but right now, it's troubling, man. It's troubling, and I don't know if they're rushing this Armageddon that is prophesied for so long, if they're trying to make it happen, or if they're trying to make something that's not it into it. What's your view on that matter?
I'm not concerned at all. I'll be quite honest with you. I've been in my 71 years. I've lived through this. My parents and my grandparents went through World War I and World War II. It's just the nature of the world, no? Man against man, power against power, and it'll all peter out in the end. I think everybody's frightened of a third world war. They keep saying that, but I don't think that is going to happen. If you notice, China and Russia are staying back. They're not getting involved, even though Iran is a big friend of theirs. Even though that China gets, I think, is it 90% of their oil
Well, you know who
from
I'd like.
Iran, or something
You,
like that.
you know who I'd like to see stay back? America. Why does
Yeah,
America have to be the world police? I mean, they have enough. Suppose somebody out there from another country would say, well, we don't like how America is going because Trump is taking advantage of his people. So we went in there then, regime change. I don't see that being accepted. Well,
but
certainly
it
not.
won't happen. Who's gonna challenge America? Then nobody gonna do
Yeah,
that.
but then might doesn't make right. Never has it
Uh,
ever. Right. And
well,
I know I hear what you're saying, and there's a realness to that, but then there's also the righteous aspect of it where we have to look at this and demand, man, that everybody has equal rights, and those equal rights are provided for, allowed for anyway. I
well,
think that if you look at the number of countries that the US have meddled in, 64 regime changes. Um, there are they have what? How many bases? 80 bases worldwide. 84? Is it 100 and something bases worldwide in a lot
yeah.
of countries? A number of them are under attack right now out there in the Middle East. How is this going to end? Who? I know that you understand that America can win because America. But I think that what's on everybody's mind is what would happen with a nuclear fallout. I mean, one person drop it, end at that. And
Well,
everybody.
I don't think Israel and the United States will use any nuclear weapons.
Is that from
Uh,
experience? Are you talking from
well, I guess
experience?
of all the years that we've been seeing
Uh-huh.
that these powers have had the nuclear weapons, we haven't seen
Uh-huh.
anybody use it.
Are you
Uh,
kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, should
besides
I?
America, America used it in Japan, and that ended the
Oh, so
war.
there ain't nobody then. I mean,
Okay.
why?
No, 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 no. That's just okay. I'm trying to come more to this time of this
No, no,
century.
no. You're
Okay.
coming from the
Yeah.
American point of view, which is
Well, I think
unfair.
America is a great country. I like America. I
All
have
right.
no. Everybody loves America.
Everybody
You loved
does.
America. You went to live
Yes,
there one time.
yes, yes. Because
But now
it was.
you're against them. I don't
Hold
know
on.
why, but
No,
you're
you don't. You're
against
gonna
them.
tell me I'm against them. I'm against what is not right. You
Yeah.
don't put words in my mouth like that. You don't get to do that. I don't try to do that to you. I'm saying to you, Jeremy, that America, yes, was once a beacon of hope, a paragon of good living. Everybody wanted everybody was praising America because America was standing on the side of the downtrodden, of those who were being oppressed. But at this point, it seems like they have turned into the oppressor. And if you think I should still be supporting them and hailing them to high heaven because of that,
Right.
no, I don't love them to that extent.
Right.
I
Well,
would
they
like
were after World War II. Remember, Americans didn't want to get involved in World War II. They were very
I
pro-German at
don't
the
think that they
time,
want to get involved in Iran right now,
and
if you ask
and
the
um,
majority of them.
and it was only because that Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor that got them in. Then they went into Korea. Then they went into Vietnam. Right after Vietnam, I think they went into the Caribbean, Grenada. I think was it Grenada, and then
Honduras,
after that, the Middle East. And you have to remember that America supports Israel. Do you think the American, yeah, they could be against the war right now, but you think if Iran drop a nuclear bomb on Israel or they attacked Israel, like, troops and all of that, do you think the American people would support that? That
the
they would say, oh,
American people or the American government?
the
You have to
Americans
be
in
clear on that.
general, do you think they would accept
I,
Israel
I
being
think
wiped out?
I think right now the anti-Israeli sentiment, you've never seen what is referred to as anti-Semitism, which is not anti-Semitism, it's anti-Zionism. But you have never seen it at the level that it is today. That indeed many people in America, and have you seen it? And you know what amazes me, Jeremy? That there are a lot of more white voices raised against this Zionist apartheid regime than black voices, and that surprises me. Jamaica, for instance, has been just polarly gone, just caved in to all of America's demands. Hi, Julia. Good evening. Night. Welcome on board. But really, Jeremy, because there are lots of people in America that are seeing things different than the American government as such. And again, that's why I say if there were people with the kind of might that America has, which they don't, so it's unrealistic. But if there's somebody with the kind of might that can say, listen, this is wrong what they're doing to these American people. They're going against policies that they don't support. Maybe we ought to go in there and change that regime. But that's
What would
how
you
America
think would
would do
happen
it.
if America just said, you know what, screw the rest of the world. Let's bring all our bases back to America. Let the rest of the world take care of their business. Do you think that would be the answer?
There'd be peace, yes. I think
You
so.
think so?
I think
And
so.
no other country would try to take advantage of that.
I don't think so. I don't, yeah.
I don't agree with you on that one.
Based on what? What do you base those feelings on?
I'm saying if America is not out there, evil will take over.
But the evil is to do that. What are you talking about?
They're the lesser of two evils.
No, Jeremy, come on, man.
No, Jeremy, nothing.
Be
We
realistic.
benefit from America. We benefit. We've always benefited from America policing the world. It keeps us safe. It keeps that oil running. It keeps business
Ah,
going. You
hold
can
on.
deny
You,
that. You
you,
can
you,
deny that. You can
you
sit
said the
here
magic
in your
word. You
chair
said the
and
magic
speak out.
word.
If you were Iranian,
You
you wouldn't be able
said
to
the
sit here and
magic
speak out.
word. You
Huh?
said the magic word. It keeps the
Yeah.
oil running, and
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. America is not
It's
policing the
always been
world.
about that. Until we change the energy source, until we get another energy source, then maybe that region won't be as an
But
important.
you saying
Important.
what you're saying that doesn't justify what is happening, though, Jeremy. You're saying that as if that's
Nothing is war
justification for
isn't
what they're
justifiable,
doing.
but it has to be done. It has to be done
Why does it have to be done? To the
to
benefit of who?
secure how we live. That's basically what
But
it's all
don't you
about.
think we can be fair with each other?
Huh?
There's no way
Huh?
we can be fair with each
Well,
other.
I think the United Nations tried that, and whoopee, have they been that successful?
The United Nations or the
Yeah,
U.S.
that's what the United
nations?
Nations is all about.
It was supposed
Kumbaya,
to
bring
be.
everybody together, love and peace.
It was to be. Has that been
Yeah.
there?
It's a great
How long?
idea.
How long have they issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu? Where is that? Where are we at with that? How come they
Well,
cannot enforce that?
you
Where's
think
this
Israel
United?
will allow that? You think Israel will allow them
Oh,
to come and take him?
but how? I mean, what kind of?
No, really, think about it. You think
No.
that
What
Israel
kind?
will really allow the United
But
Nations to come in and take him?
Israel is a tiny nation. Israel should not be holding the world by its balls. It is
Yeah,
not fair. It's not manly. We don't look
yeah.
like some sissies.
We should ask our government, the United Nations, to us to go kidnap Netanyahu and bring him to the United Nations.
Be real. Let us
No,
invite.
no, I'm just saying that's
I
just
know
how
you're
it is.
just saying. You're just talking out of the top of
I'm
your
not
head, and
talking.
it's not
You
making
really
much
think,
sense.
as all the horrors that he has done, you think the Israeli people will allow him to be taken away from Israel to face the UN court?
What gives these Israelis so much power? They don't want small nation. What?
They're very powerful
Look
now.
at countries like India. Look at other countries around the world. Look at Russia. You don't see them doing that. Joe, evening and welcome to the show.
Welcome,
Evening,
gentlemen.
Joe.
You seem to be in the midst of a heated discussion.
We're just passing time till you come in. We know you're gonna bring a
Yeah,
voice of reason, guys.
we're waiting for the podcast guru to come in, and here you are. Okay,
We're yeah,
you
we're
still not
just
gone for that Indian meal yet, you know? And you
Not
wait
true.
for it.
But I hear you're referring to the arrest of Netanyahu. That's how you
Yes.
pronounce his name, no? Well, you know,
well.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce. I'm terrible at pronunciation. It's due
Actually,
to
that's
my
not
mother.
you know that's not his name, right? His name is Milowinski or something like that. He's Polish,
I'll
like
call
you.
him BB then. He's known as BB. BB is easier to pronounce for me.
yeah,
Netanyahu. Netanyahu, right? That's how you
yeah,
pronounce his name.
four of the Nordic countries, I think, are five of them, have decided that they will not allow him to use their airspace, and if they come around in that area, they would arrest him.
Yeah.
And so now, Jeremy, you're saying that Israel would not allow it, correct?
I
Well,
don't think so. I don't
what
think so.
what Israel will not allow is for them to come there and take him.
Yeah.
The same thing with them. Putin was also a warrant has been issued for Putin arrest by the United Nations to the court now. But
All right.
you can't
Yeah.
arrest him unless
But
you have to go to one country where bold enough, which some of them has said that if he had come, they would arrest him.
Here's somebody
yeah.
who would arrest him, Gregory. If you ever go to Texas, where there in California, no? If you go to
California.
California, Greg
Yeah.
might just hold on. But I don't know.
Sorry, I'm having some audio problem.
Okay, we kind of hear you. You guys hearing Greg?
You know what I thought was quite interesting? Sorry about
No, go ahead. He's getting it
the
together.
Canadian Prime Minister. I think he gave a very good account of the United Nations, while in no way derogating his purpose and the good that he has done. He's citing where it is not able to do what it should have been doing simply because of some of the powers, the bigger powers, who are not prepared to conform to the international law. As you say, the case is clear. The United States is violating international law, blatantly violating international law.
Jerry,
He violated international law in the Caribbean with what he did with those boats. He violated international law with the attack upon Iran. So the United States is blatantly violating. But who arrests the United States? Who got?
Yeah.
Um,
I agree with you. I can't deny that. I can't deny that. They're
so,
doing it.
but you can condemn it. You don't have to try to support it just on the
Well,
basis that there you love America. You might love
well,
your children.
I like the idea of them coming into the Caribbean because we can't do it.
But to do what though? What can't we
to
do
help
that
us
needs to be
to
done?
help us get rid of drugs in our neighborhood.
Yeah,
We
but
can't police it.
where's
We
this
can't police it.
where is this due process that you keep screaming about? Because you see a boat on the water and you decide you want to bomb that. Then there are
Well,
two
it's like
survivors.
you,
Oh,
G, Mike.
let me finish. Now let me finish. Then you can speak. Wait. Yeah, sorry for speaking while you're interrupting. No, listen to me. You see a boat in the water and you just bomb that boat. Where is the due process? Isn't there somebody? Aren't you supposed to be able to prove your case before a court of law?
Well, just like you with Budna and don't worry about due process. There's sometimes in life that you don't go through due process when nobody's willing to, when the Caribbean is not willing to take care of crime in this area, and the United States feels we should.
What crime are you talking about, though?
Oh, there's no crime in the Caribbean. I'm sorry, I forgot.
There's crime all over the world. Come on.
Yeah.
There's
But we
crime
have some of
all
the
over
highest.
the world.
We have some of the highest crimes in our area. If America wants to stop, yes, I know the argument that, well, if they stop wanting drugs, you wouldn't have a drug problem. But what's wrong with America trying to eliminate any drugs coming into their country?
What's
You
wrong
got
with
any problem with that?
Oh, hold up. Well, no,
You
yeah,
have
it's
a
a problem.
with that?
Yes, I
You have
do.
a problem with drugs
I
coming into
do.
the East?
No. Don't try to turn this around like
I'm
that.
not turning it around. I'm
You're the
just asking
gaslight.
you.
You're gaslighting. Listen to me. America's problem is an insatiable appetite for drugs. And if they don't, it'll come from somewhere, even if they have to create it themselves, because they make some good drugs on the street of America. You know that. But now, what are they going to do about the appetite for the drugs? Because as long as there's a demand, there will be a supply.
You know what my opinion is? Legalize the whole bloody thing,
Right.
and then invest money on education, drug rehabilitation, and so on. And that just keeps the cartels out of it. And that's what I agree. I don't think it's going to increase drug problems.
What do you... go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, but I think we have been, those who are listening to leaders of the region and outside the region, speaking recently upon what is happening in the world, and particularly involving the United States. And the president of Mexico made a very good statement, just as Canada did in Canada. They don't have a problem in the countries coming together and cooperate with each other to stop the movement of drugs. Mexico don't have any problem with it. And they believe the same thing with all the Latin American countries. The problem he's citing is when the United States wants to come under its terms and conditions into the region and do what he wants. And then if you don't pander along with his strategy, then he turns around and victimizes you. And that is what I
But
mean.
why do you think America's like that, Joe? Why do they want to impose themselves on other countries? Why are they like that?
Let me give you an example. It's not that America generally likes to do it, but the practice has been established that this part of the world was supposed to be under the dominion of the United States. And that started from the period of the Monroe Doctrine. Now, when it really reached one crisis, that was when the Russians were bringing missiles into Cuba. And then they had that standoff with Kennedy and Khrushchev.
I think, Joe, you got an error in there, because it wasn't supposed to be. The Monroe Doctrine does not say that. And I've been looking at the Monroe Doctrine. It's basically that the Europeans from over there would no longer be meddling in the affairs over here and establishing the colonies, but not that America would be allowed to do it themselves and be the overlords as such. America is just to be one of the many countries on this side of the world that would not be affected over there, and on this side of the world should not go over there either. That was what that doctrine was all about. But America is in Afghanistan, Vietnam, Korea, everywhere.
No, I am not differing with that. I am saying that the Monroe Doctrine, as you rightly say, was that they will not tolerate any more of colonization by Europeans in this part of
Correct.
the world.
Correct.
That's what he said. But by inference and practice, America felt that they should be dominating.
But there it is.
And what America did during those years was infiltrated these other countries, set up leaders
Puppet governments.
who are certainly not democratic leaders, but because they were able to pander to what they wanted. And he did it in Latin America. He set up a lot of governments.
Look at Iran. Look at Iran right there. They imposed the Shah on the people of Iran when Iran had a democratically elected government. So then that look how that turned out. Then it got to the point where he had to run, and since then they've had a hard on for Iran, which is Iran has not been threatening anybody. Iran has not been invading countries. Iran has not been spread. Neither was Venezuela. But when they use this pretense of drug running to force their regime change and get friendly governments in place, or to give themselves access to the resources of these countries, there's something obviously unfair. And you loving America should not make you be blind to that.
But what is unfair, gentlemen, is that let's see what is fair first. What is fair? Every country, sovereign country, has a right to its national interest. But your national interest, when you're trying to have an international community like the United Nations, you cannot allow your national interest to supersede my national interest. We should have a common interest that aligns with the United Nations and international law.
That should hold true to all mankind.
Exactly. So the point I think needs to be made is that when America acts in its national interest, he has a definition of national interest, which means that once the share of Iran can suit what he wants, okay, oppressive he is, it's all right. So America lacks what you call the international morality.
Mm-hmm.
He will use you, look at how evil and bad you are, as long as it serves their interest. So when Iraq, when he needed Saddam Hussein at the time to do what he wanted, Saddam was okay. But when he cannot do what they want, so it is not that kind of national interest that should be grounded in international morality. And that is what many nations of the world today are beginning to attack America. Europe, very allies, European countries, is beginning to cite its shortcomings and the problems of America they cause, to the point that Russia and China begin to look favorable compared to him, the way they behave right now, which is unusual for the allies. The allies had never seen their enemy. The enemy to the allies, the NATO allies, was Russia, and to a lesser extent, China.
Joe, from your point of view, doesn't it seem that the people of America seem to have a different view than the government of America?
Absolutely so. That has been proven, and now it is becoming even wider. The gap is widening between those who now favor not just Trump, but the whole Republican system, the whole of them, the Congress and the president. They are bunching all of them together, that they are the problems to America. And more the votes, the polls are going against them.
What do you see happen in the midterm elections?
What I am foreseeing, and I'm saying this because you don't know what can happen within 6 months. It's a long time in politics. But everything they indicate, that is very likely that the Democrats, if they can only do a better messaging of what they really want to. And I notice one of them are looking to run for president, are likely to be a candidate, has come forward with a proposal, which of course it has to do with he's showing where they can remove taxes on individuals up to 46,000 US and on couples 92,000. And they will be able to make up the difference from taxing that 1,000 billionaires that they have.
Oh, who was that? Who did? Was that Mamdani?
No. That's he's a congressman. He's one of them that is likely to offer himself, for as a presidential candidate. I think that Kelly, I can't remember my name right now. Okay. I just said it yesterday or the day before. It was a proposal that I think will be gaining grounds.
I see Aaron posted something just now. Put it back up for me, see why he was saying that. And we made the move by inspiring people in Minnesota, and they had some mass uprisings there. And I think the problem that we're faced with, though, is that the media, the mainstream media, is owned by special interest groups, and they are putting out what they want. So there are a lot of the American people who are not getting the same news that we're getting outside. And a lot of it is geared towards keeping them ignorant and keeping in place this hegemony that is doing nobody any good. It's time we need to look at things that as they really are, and not as how convenient to us. And Jeremy, this is my issue, because you seem to like it because you think it's convenient to you. But is
Let me
it
ask you
convenient to
something. So
everybody? Go
I was
ahead.
just saying, you said that in America they're not getting the news, but okay, on next gen, the CNN that we see here, the Al Jazeera that we see here, the
Right.
Fox News, Newsmax, BBC One, and so on. America is seeing that same newscasters, those same people.
I don't know that they get Al Jazeera in many states over there. And of course, you get CNN and Fox, but those are two different sides at the spectrum.
But
And
you get MSNBC, right? You get
again, that's
MSNBC.
another that's an anti-Trump. You know that they're
Yeah,
what you might call. I don't like the term left and right, because right, again, I don't know how they make them get away with that. Right only got one definition, but I think they should have gone north and south instead. But be it as it may, then use right and left. Now MSNBC is definitely left leaning. Um, I don't know that they get Russia Today over there, do they? I'm gonna have to ask somebody that there are a lot of independent media outlets, but I don't know how much they got them black letter there. No, they're redacted, if you will, right?
Well, I believe they are getting it because we are getting Russian outlets here. I
yeah.
believe.
But we
RT.
don't. It not necessarily means that they get what we get, Joe.
Well,
Because
I can't imagine that whatever we are getting, they are not getting.
why not?
Yeah,
I think
I
because
don't
we are
know.
getting it mostly from them.
No, no, no. I don't think so. I think that there's a different with the satellite things being what it is. They can block to it whatever area they want to. Let's ask Greg, who is over
Yeah, that's
there,
great.
instead of speculating. Greg, do you guys are you still here? Are you there now?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
All right. Good evening. Welcome again.
Good evening.
Now, what stations do you get? First of all, which one do you look at the most?
I kind of mix around in terms of station. I look at MSNBC, I look at Fox News, I look at BBC. I look at a variety of different news station. I don't look a lot at the local stations. I
Yeah,
look more at the
they are
major
local.
network.
Do you get Al Jazeera where you are?
Yes, I do. I do, and I do look at Al Jazeera for different issues. Each of them we know has a certain bias. Each of them has an agenda that they're pushing in terms of how they want you to view the events that's going on. So I view all of them with that kind of idea in my head that this is what they are selling and what they are favored in terms of position.
Do you get Russia Today?
I don't look. No, I don't get that, and I don't look at the Russian station or
Or
any of the.
Spanish?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
Newsmax.
Newsmax, they're mainly
Yes.
extreme Republican. Okay,
Yes.
you get Newsmax, of course.
Yes, yes,
There
yes.
are.
We get that. Yeah.
You know what I find frightening nowadays, though, with the advance of technology as such, that with AI, it seems they have blurred the reality between reality and fantasy and unreal stuff. So it's hard to know what to believe and what not to believe. I remember one time, I believe Fox was showing some footage of war things that had happened many years ago, as it was happening today, and people really fell for it. So how do we decipher what's real from what's not real? Is that you being a technical individual? Can you help us with that?
Well, the only thing we could do with news today is kind of sort it out. We hear something and we try and see how we could validate it from another source, because so much is going on, it's hard to determine exactly what is the correct news. I mean, they all seem to have a bit of misinformation, and we have to be mindful, I think, about the people in on sitting at the news desk that's actually giving opinions. I think we need to kind of make sure that what we're getting is in fact the news, and that's where it becomes very difficult to kind of source it out. But what I do, and that's why I listen to Fox and I listen to MSNBC, and between the two of them, I kind of go back and forth and kind of vet, and I look on the internet and I see if the information either of them is saying matches with what's trending, because that's the only way. It's because they said it's talking heads and it's a lot of fake news, and there is a lot of fake news out there.
Yeah.
And the only way is to just be mindful and check it out a couple of times and see if in fact you're getting the correct news. Sometimes, I do post items from the internet, and I've found myself in times when I post it. I just post it because I find it interesting and I want to share it. I'm not validating in any way and saying people believe this or I agree with this. It's just that I found whatever that content was interesting.
But you might need for what I call qualify that.
Yes,
and,
yes.
and stake that, because when a person that might be a fan of yours and you have some people that look up to you, I might say, well, because Greg is posting this, it must be real, because he's not going to post something that he doesn't think is true. So I know there are things that are interesting and you don't fully support the whole concept of it, but by sharing it, it shows that you relate to it in some way. Or maybe even support the point of view that's being put forward. So I don't want one tricky thing with that, I think, Greg.
I enjoy the AI generated cartoons with political figures inside of it and so on. But I think the time has come that they really need that these people who put out AI generated news and so on, and having these very prominent figures say things that are not true and so on. I think it's time that regulations need to be put in place and penalties need to be done, because I find myself now that I'm looking at
you
Facebook,
don't know what to believe.
and I didn't want to read them anymore, because I have to fact check every one of them to make sure that I don't comment anymore. Lately I haven't been commenting because I don't want to put myself in a position that I come out to be an idiot, gullible or whatever,
Go ahead,
So
Joe. You were saying something.
Yeah, I see somewhat different, in the sense that when it comes to the big media houses, let's say Fox, because Fox is very big, MSNBC, CNN, Al Jazeera, CSBC, I don't see them giving fake news. I think what they are giving is different opinions based on the same facts.
Yes, yes.
So when I listen to Fox, I would anticipate what the opinion is likely to be. But it doesn't mean that they are giving an opinion and a facts different from the facts that MSNBC is giving an opinion.
But you split hairs,
that's
though.
exactly that opinion becomes very subjective.
Right. You split hairs there. You split.
So
hold on, which opinion is not subjective?
No. But I'm saying it is very subjective in how they slant it, and so it differs so much from the truth.
What do you mean by subjective opinion?
It's fake news.
Yeah,
it becomes. I don't want to say that, but that's what it becomes.
What is the subjective? Are you saying? I am saying that the facts are facts, right?
No, but you when you put a personal twist on it,
they drift away from the
putting a
news.
personal twist on the facts. What you are doing, they are giving opinions, and their opinions will be biased towards their political persuasion, and in particular, biased towards the owner.
I disagree. I think they go further than that.
In America, that's a fact. When you look at Fox News, the owners of Fox News are Republicans. You look at MSNBC, you can tell who are the owners because of their opinions based upon the ideology. That's a fact in America.
When we say fake news, we're not saying that the whole thing is fabricated. We're saying that it takes you away from the truth in the idea of what expressed in their position and opinions.
Which is the purpose of it. It's the purpose of that.
It doesn't mean that everything that they're telling you totally fabricated. They may be.
But you know,
always
hold
mean
on.
that.
Somebody,
They are mistaken.
one second. Somebody told me something one time that makes a lot of sense. They told me that every lie is predicated on a truth. There's some truth in every lie that the lie is built upon, which is what makes the lie believable. And
Mhm.
this is the problem. I'm wondering if
Yes.
there is no way they can have some group monitoring this, but where do you get that? Like Billy saying you want independent group, but where do you find that?
What I find from my experience in America and seeing it from Belize, seeing the world from Belize, is that the people who tend to watch these news are people who are a little bit more knowledgeable and have better critical analysis thinking. Now, who likes to watch the fake news? That the ones that themselves were not very much sophisticated in knowledge and opinions. So what I am seeing from I will look at facts. I will look at facts because I want to hear facts opinion and
So
a matter.
you tell parents yourself.
No, I am looking at facts because I want to hear facts opinion. No, I look at NBC to hear NBC opinion. But the two opinions are on the same facts. That's what I'm saying. And that's it with all the big houses. But what influences the opinion is the owners of the media houses who tend to align themselves with a particular political party. And that's the reality of America. That's a
So
fact.
do they set guidelines for these reporters to follow then, and maybe write the news for them, so then just they echo what they're told to say?
You have had cases with facts, and I have seen it, where a particular host may not toe the line and he comes out plain because he gave an opinion on a matter which differ from another host's opinion and the same Fox News, the same Fox Media House. So you do have cases like that. Of course, they will not be tolerated to to become too widespread.
Ask Dan Lemon, or ask Tucker Carlson, or ask Candace Owen, one of those voices who have gone independent, no? Because they were all part of the mainstream media. But at
Yeah,
some point, they had to part ways because of different opinions. Now,
exactly.
I,
Exactly. And that's what the point that, sorry, just make me. They parted ways because if you don't toe the line of the owner, that the owner set what they want for you to give as opinions. So they get the persons who align with those. In other words, it's the same thing with political parties. When you bring somebody from a radio station or one television station owned by the PUP, you don't want to bring no UDP for going to no opinion. You will bring up PUP. The same thing with UDP. They don't want to bring up PUP to give an opinion. That's what they happen in the world all over.
can we find a middle ground at some point?
The middle ground have to be us who are listeners.
Why, but we are the ones where we follow, we win and give we man. Well,
No,
depend
no,
you
no, no,
no.
those who
Oh, Joe, let's be real. You speak to people and you could pretty much tell whether they go left or right and which media house they're listening to. Haven't you found that?
what I have found evidently is that if you are pro-Republican, your tendency will more want to listen to facts.
Well,
If you are pro-Democrat,
that's a roundabout way of saying the same thing.
no, I'm saying it because I believe I see myself, and I'm talking of myself now. I can listen to a UDP radio station or television station. I can listen to it, and I can listen to a PUP one. But if you are a person who at least have a sense of independence and rational thinking, you don't want just because you hear it from a PUP radio station and you don't want PUP, you mean you want to agree with it. No.
Joe, you were in the belly of the beast. Could you have done that back when you were entangled in the whole political arena?
Of course, that's why maybe I wasn't liked by some. For the same reason.
You're just saying that, though.
I'm not saying it. I have proven
I,
that. One of these days, what I will do for you, or you all, when you look at the documentary that I'm putting out, then you want to listen to the G7 and how it happened. What is happening to us, gentlemen, and I want to take time, just 1 second or 2 seconds, 3. What is happening to us in Belize? We tend to toe a party line to the point where we become irrational. So when somebody who belongs to the party, they speak out differently, they don't even seem to want to give any.
Joe,
I have experience from my father in politics.
yeah, but let's be honest though. When you were running for politics and you were going around canvassing for votes, were you telling people objective facts, or were you putting a screw on it?
No. What I was doing is what we were doing as a party. Evidently, you come out first with what will be your platform. And your platform have to be based upon your ideology. That was when the two parties had ideologies. Today, I am saying I don't see them anchored by any ideology. They're more flavor of the week. So in the past, you can clearly say, listen, PUP, are more socialist, more left. That is it, the mixed economy. That is what it was about. Then your climate said it right. Or let's call it the right. Let's call the UDP when it came out of that group that left the report and all of them and Chamber of Commerce. They were seen as more the same word like more to the right. They were more like capitalists. And that was how governments were behaving in those years. What I am sensing today, and it's not only in Belize, they don't seem to have a philosophical anchor. They don't seem to be having a philosophical anchor today to say that when you elect us, this is the platform grounded in that philosophical anchor that we will be perpetuating, which is coming out of the Constitution.
Could it be the electorate is not demanding it?
Yeah.
Could it be the electorate not demanded?
Well, the truth about it, and that is the reality we have to begin to accept.
No, let me pose this, Mr. Cowie. I think it is the fact that we have gone away from for political party support and financing. It has become so expensive that now all we have supporting political parties financing is businesses. And that's where they're getting their money. They're not looking to individuals, and therefore the interest, even when you change party, the interest doesn't change. The interest is still the business interest that is foregoing the interest of the citizens, the common citizens.
So the capitalists have won out.
Yes, therefore it doesn't allow the party to create an ideology that is people-centered.
I'm happy to see Jerome back in the audience, and we want to thank all the people who listen to us, and even those who catch us on the replay now. But Jerome is saying that he thinks the best authority, and this is Filipino-American journalist and laureate Maria Ressa. I must confess, I'm not too familiar with it, but on what topic was that, Jerome? Because we were talking about several topics here over the last few minutes. I don't know. Are you familiar? Any of you guys familiar with this?
No, I'm not familiar with her. But I gather it might be on the independence of where the political parties. You know how you view those differences.
Well, you see, now the concept of a PUC, as when it comes to the telecommunication things and even business in Belize, the concept is a good one. And I'm wondering if we can't have something like that to govern maybe the news, the media, the fourth estate, if you will, because they play such an important role in shaping the mindset of the people.
Well, I hear you.
I'm looking something here, gentlemen, and I'd like to come back to it with Mr. Gregory Morrison. You see, we speak just now of campaign financing. Mr. Morrison spoke of it, and we're going on to something else. I would have liked to speak about that campaign financing. It's not what I differ from what you said just now. That is not what I see happening in Belize. What is happening in Belize is that we moved away from a diversity of campaign supporters. Financing.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, if that's what you're saying, I agree with that. And what we have gone to just a few people now with the big money who is financing the party, and they are lobbying for what they want from the government. Not what is for the collective good. It's for their good. And that is what is happening. So it's not that the government, they talk about big government. Nothing wrong with big government. The problem is the big money that is in government. That's what the problem is.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying. That
they said then to me, we have to understand then that why is it that the people with the big money can in fact get the party to win the support of the voters is simply because the voters themselves are not sufficiently sophisticated to how to vote, or they are voting from their self-interest.
Careful.
Well, no, I'm not careful. I'm telling you this because I'm telling you, I can tell you this today. Many people that is with political parties are serving that political party not for the good of the country, They are serving it that when the political party win, they will get their share. That's
But
the
that,
point.
that happens. That happens with everybody, Joe. And down the
No,
line,
that's not true.
you were there.
No,
You
no, no,
were
no.
there,
No, no. I want to speak on these things if you allow me, but I said maybe it's not my show, so I have to be
no,
careful.
don't pull that one. There.
No, what I'm saying, it's not my
You
show.
you can't get away with that. You
No,
can't.
hold on. It's
It
not
has
my
nothing to do with not your show. It has to
Hold
do
on,
with.
I explain when I say it's not my show. If I was the guest, I would want to be able to speak, and I am like a host right now. What I'm saying to you, and you make a miss it up because I wanted to develop on it.
Yeah, because
There has been a
you distract from what I was trying to say, which is that what you're saying rings hollow because you were there involved in the very system that you say has to be changed. Were you?
No. I am not saying. Mr. Chairman, that's why I say you have to allow me time to speak on it. I am saying to you in a nutshell then, we have gone into very much now a patronage system. That is what it is.
And you were not involved in that type of system. You did not use
I am
campaign
saying
money,
so.
Joe.
No, I am saying to you that the patronage system is that patronage system when it becomes so systemic. And it was not systemic in the past.
But wasn't it not used? It was used. Josh Price used to give money away.
No.
Could I think we're not getting anywhere on that. Let me say something that I believe strongly about.
About it in the way I. It to say George Price to give away money. What you have to understand is that when you are out there in a campaign, and even if you are not a politician, even if you are not, and you happen to live in a community, and you have a little more means than the others, and somebody in that community has need, I believe it is morally incumbent on you to help.
We're not talking about the same thing.
But what you all say is
let Gregory make his point because he has something he was trying to say.
I have to hear it. I live it. No, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about
What we have seen happen even in Belize and even in the United States. And in the United States, it really became so great when they had Citizen United. But what we have seen in Belize is that at one point, political campaign was retail politics. The guy goes to your house, he asks you for your vote, he talks to you, he becomes friendly with you, and that's how you got his vote. That's how you would give him his vote. Today, they have to be promised a refrigerator, they have to be promised all types of things. And what that has done, it caused that the people that I remember in the days when I used to go to political meeting, they asked for collection. Have they asked for the people in the citizenry for collection?
The people are asking for the collection.
At any political meeting? No.
The people are asking for the collection.
Their money from the big corporation, and they are the ones now dictating what they want as policy. And it's no longer the individual interest that's being represented by the politicians. So that's the problem we have. And they're the ones that are controlling everything. And
now you are talking what I was saying. Let me go back quickly to what you were talking and what I was trying to get you all to understand, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Spooner. My mother and those ladies mainly in that neighborhood where we were living, and you know where we were, right? They used to have fundraising. They have parties, fundraising.
Yes.
The money is taken, and it was taken to Mr. Price for the party. That's what they were doing.
Yes.
Fundraising.
Yes.
These are people who are out there who believe that if the party can get elected, that there will be a future for the country and for the people out of poverty. That's what they thought. And I saw it in my lifetime.
More than that.
And Joe, when
it has changed, as well Gregory is pointing out, and that's the discussion I was trying to get to.
Joe, when the British were here, but we had self-government, was the patronage system in existence then?
No, I didn't see that patronage system in existence. It couldn't have been.
It came after independence.
The truth about it, remember, we get in 1950.
It came after self-government.
Yeah, because before that, they represented it as the little power anyway. The British were running things.
It's not a drift after self-raised it. We fully embraced it after independence.
Okay. And you know what I missed too? I missed the town meetings where candidates had to address the people and outline their plan of action and win the votes by speaking. Nowadays, you have politicians who can't speak, don't have to speak. All they need are $50 per vote, and they don't win. They don't lose elections at all. There are certain members you could right off who I'm talking about who have won many elections and can put two good sentences together. So
and they have members who got elected who never visited the House of Representatives. I never could understand that. And even now I see we have meeting in Parliament and our leaders don't all feel obligated to show up.
Only once a month, if that often. Yeah. And that is all they do. Yeah. As a member, they collect a lot of money, get a lot of perks, and where's the input?
Yeah.
What do so all they do is when the paper is passed around, they sign, and that's it. Yeah. That's a good job if you can get it.
Our democracy has really fallen apart in terms of how our representative treats their office and their responsibility.
I did a quick search on how do you solve the patronage system, but I think it will take very honorable people to make it work. Yes. Because they are suggestions, and I don't think it's going to work.
Give us a couple of them. Give us a couple.
Okay, I can tell you. Here it is. It says to solve the patronage system, it is essential to implement merit-based appointment systems. Then another effective strategy is to strengthen institutional checks and balances. And then another one is promoting transparency and accountability.
All no-brainers. All no-brainers, actually.
Yeah. No, I don't agree with you, Mr. Chairman. I think what he's saying is a fact. That's a fact.
But I'm not disputing it, Joe. Did you hear what I said? Joe, whoa, don't do that, Joe. Did you hear what I said, which is what you don't agree? Tell me what you heard that you do not agree with. There were no-brainers. Something like that don't need a lot of brain to agree to because they're common sense. I mean,
they're common sense.
There are three things that he said.
We agree on that. Good. Let's go to the next part.
Yeah.
All right. I was saying that what is it that those things are? They're truism. They're facts. I agree with you. The challenge is not to know what we need, because we need a merit-based system. We need a system based on neutrality. We need accountability. We need transparency. So we know what we need.
Yes.
The challenge for us is how do we begin a path towards that? That is the challenge facing us. We speak of the problems. We know what could be the solutions, but we don't know how to do it.
Do you have a recommendation? Do you have any recommendations?
No, the recommendation begins, from my experience I'm talking now, it could begin with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, a small amount of people who decide now to take up the challenge, that they will now begin to organize, to get back into the community, and to show them the fault of their ways of how we were going, and show them the alternative.
Ad hoc committees you're talking about?
Let me show you which committee. Are they talking about the People's Committee?
And Joe, you talk about a collection of people that will come together.
You will not get it done. The only way I would say you can get it done through the political parties is if that you have people like those who are willing to get in and try to contest. But it is difficult. You cannot get it done. I give you my personal experience, gentlemen.
Yeah, but Joe, you're arguing and no argument. I'm just clarifying what you said. You think that we need ad hoc committees of citizens coming together for a collective goal or a common goal of trying to make this work and change from the system, which is obviously not helping the situation at all. The patronage system does not work for everybody, and if it doesn't work for anybody, it is not good for the country. Don't you agree with that?
I fully agree with you. And what I want to emphasize, of the 7 virtues, one of them, which is courage, is what some of us lack. You see this very show that we're on right now? this is a contribution to the citizen in hopefully change their mind towards or against the patronage system towards the collective good. Because what we are talking here on these shows, evidently people who are listening should be able to learn from it. And hopefully we are highlighting some of the failures of the state. And we are not highlighting them with malice. We are highlighting them in a very sophisticated and educated way, hearing the opinions that we are hearing from each other. That the
Well,
patronage system it has never succeeded. Mayor Daley of Chicago run it for 40 years. And when it failed and it collapsed, what it left behind was nothing easy to bring back.
this is a good time to remind folks that they can also contribute. Put up your comments, and they'll come on there. It's we're at the midway point. We want to tell you that the show is brought to you by Sea Smoke. You guys have obviously there's been a consensus that the name is Kriol Awakening. I don't know if everybody is on board with that shift. It sounds I didn't like the read me in, though it kind of like was a good play on words, but it kind of like read me in too prominently. Chairman pro tem, and at some point, kick me out and put somebody else there, and I'm all right. But for now, we'll work with it as it is, right? So the 27th of March, we're gonna have and you talk about Devin Daly, he's putting a movie in the park, in the Charlie Burton Park. And Spoon, I want to invite you to drop in for that, and the kids are going to be put up on movie projector screen and whatnot. We're going to have a presentation by the community policing people also. We're trying to get together on Neighborhood Watch. And I think, Joe, these are some of the things that we need to do. Involve the community, get the children from very early to understand the need to be engaged in the whole political game and system. We are all partakers in this, and if we throw up a hand and just say what happened, then we have to settle for where we get, no?
Okay.
What have you chosen a movie yet?
Okay.
No, and I'm hoping to have an input on whatever movie they choose. I want to see it, because I certainly don't want it to be something like one of them politically biased. I don't think it'll be. I just trying to get the people out and the kids out. And I think it'll be a good time for the area rep to address the gathering. You know what I mean? And we need more of that. We need to hear from our political leaders. What are your views on some of these things?
Who's the minister of your area, G-Man?
Devin Daly.
Okay.
A young man and fresh face.
Representative, not minister.
Well, he's the area representative, yeah, but he's a minister of state in the ministry of, well, I mean, no member, but he's a minister, yeah.
I think of youth and so on.
So yeah, sports and youth, I believe. Yeah. So that just I think again, this is what has to happen now. I want to broach a subject here that I'd like you guys to weigh in on if you're familiar with what is happening, that the Finstein group has approached the Marco Rubio, the man there, no? And with the whole state bank issue, and I don't know if I know a dangerous path to kind of like, because we were saying, Gregory, a couple of shows ago, that we seem to be under the radar. They're not really messing with us, Belize. Yeah. But I've been hearing the name Belize mentioned prominently now. And somebody, I believe it was you, Gregory, that was suggesting that maybe we have America that's going to protect us in that day. Was that a sentiment from your side?
That was just like I said, sometimes I just throw things out there to kind of get some opinion and some feedback on it. That was not a serious position that I think, because I don't think America is going to protect us against Guatemala. Guatemala is far more favored than Belize in the eyes of Guatemala.
Well, United Fruit Company is not as strong as
the point I was trying to make.
The problem also too is that the one country that has been in this region that has been on the side of the Israelis is Guatemala. You know, they were trained by Guatemala and they carry
Yes.
Guatemalan weapons. Now, there are two countries that are
Yes.
prime supporters of the Israelis over there in that region, and those are the Americans and UK. So if it comes down to something like that, I don't think we can look to either of those countries to support us. I think our best bet is to pursue a diplomatic course. Try to make friends with our neighbors as opposed to declaring war and jingoism and the ball about this are we enemies, so we can't talk to them, we don't want to pick to come across. I think they want a bunch of foolishness, man. We don't have enough ass to back up
No,
that.
I don't think anybody says they don't want the children to come and get an education. That's been going on for generations. From I was a little young boy,
it was
I remember
Facebook was full of that.
used to come.
Facebook was
Guatemalan
full of
students
such.
used to come. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and I'm saying I'm just correcting you. When you say nobody has been saying that, Facebook were full of those comments the last time when the story was broached. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the question that was posed, and people did say they shouldn't come because they have the claim. You're right. But the question that was mostly posed, and the one that I had posed 6 months ago, was who was paying for it. And I think I came up with like a amount of $3 million per year. But when I learned that there was 900 students coming, I think I need to double that amount of money from 3 million to costing the government, I believe, about $5 to $6 million per year to do it. So my question was Guatemala contributing some portion of that money or all of that money to help educate their students that were in Belize? Just recently, we heard the Prime Minister screaming about having to give teachers an extra $68 million in this current budget for salaries. So I am saying, is Guatemala offsetting some of that charge as we're educating 800 to 900 of their students? That's all I'm asking. And I don't know, and I wish our government would be more transparent and tell us what's happening, because we as Belizeans and as citizens have a right to know how this funding and this co-education of their student is going.
Jeremy, were you saying something?
Oh, yeah, you brought up the topic of the Finstein group. When I heard that on the news, I went immediately to that news item 2 weeks ago where an American media house was talking about corruption in Belize, where things were taken away from investors and so on. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that gave the Finstein group the impetus to maybe approach the government of the United States to make them aware of what's going on in Belize with them. You know, I don't know.
We don't know which one caused the other. It could be that caused this.
Well, I'm thinking that maybe
caused
that news item that mentioned Belize, maybe somebody in the Finstein group or whatever heard that.
I know. But what I'm saying is maybe they heard the Finstein group.
Yeah, I think that was brought up. It was brought up, but it
then
wasn't mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
the name wasn't mentioned.
We don't know what initiated that right there. So
it could be a game too. Could be a game too.
It could be. It could be.
What do you think is important for us to try to understand whether what is being said by Marco Rubio and those who from Belize, in the case of whether it's Finstein or not, whether what they're saying is true about Belize?
Well, that's a good point.
Because that's what I thought we were going to come to.
Well, we are there now then. So what do you think? We're there now.
I wanted to hear the views of those who apparently have some more knowledge about it than I do.
Well, I think they just brought up that the government had taken that private property and they were concerned about that as an investment, as capitalism and keeping investment free from government interference. Is there
truth to that? Is that truth to the allegation?
Well, there is truth. There is truth that the government
has taken it.
The government has passed legislation to take away the private property of Mr. Feinstein.
But there were some particulars there though that what I'm in the story.
The particulars was that he had filed for bankruptcy. He probably couldn't have gotten out of it, but then the government didn't give him the opportunity to work through the process of doing it. And then, if you remember, part of what created more of a problem is that he had created this parcel of land and then encumber it by having another parcel that was not part of the deed, and he kept it in private trust for himself. And so when the bank tried to take possession of the asset, they were told, yeah, you could take that part, but you don't own the perimeter of it, which was another 7 or 8 acres or some significant portion of the land. So it was creating some major problem that either the people, when they build, they will not own the shore, the beach portion of it, or they would have to pay him some considerable amount to get possession of it.
May I ask you a question? May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Okay. Now, do you think that in what spirit was that done? Was it a spirit of trying to deprive these people of their property? Or was it a spirit of trying to settle this and resolve it amicably?
You don't have to worry about the spirit. You just have to worry about the action that's happening. The action is that
how do you not worry about the spirit? And that is what causes the action.
But can I?
Well, because we only have to look at how things end. It's good to have good spirit and have bad action. But
so are you saying the ends justify the means? Then is that what you're saying? Do the ends justify the means? Okay, it sounds.
Do I need the facts here? Is it the facts we're not giving? What are the facts?
Pardon me?
The facts.
The facts is the facts is that Mr. Feinstein owned the island. He mortgaged 7 or 8 acres of it, but then he continued to build additional land to reclaim additional land. That
around the
portion
perimeter,
he said was not within the mortgage portion, and that he owned that. So let's say the island was 10 acres at one point. He built another 7 acres of reclaimed land around it, and so he was saying that when I mortgaged it, I didn't mortgage this 7 acres that I now have on top of it. Therefore,
were those 7 acres his just by virtue of him developing it and filling it up, or did he go to the government and purchase that additional 7 acres? Because regardless of what he put on there,
I don't know what he did in that regard, but I know that the issue was with the bank. The bank was saying, hey, we own everything, you don't own anything. And so that created a little bit of a ambiguity of ownership.
No, that wasn't what I think it is. In the beginning, it was State Bank. It was owned by the government. Feinstein came up with
that's early on.
Let's get his version, though.
Yeah, because I think he bought it from the government. Then he developed it. Then he borrowed money from the Atlantic Bank. These are facts. He borrowed the money and he mortgaged what he had. Mm-hmm. Then he defaulted. He wasn't able to make the payment.
Yes.
And then, of course, the bank decided to act upon the agreement of the mortgage. And it was sold to a group. I think the same group maybe have interest in the bank.
But see, you're missing an important point, Mr. Cowie. You're missing the point where the issue became the portion of the land that he developed separately outside of the...
I'm coming to that. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Point when he defaulted, that's how the bank foreclosed on him and sold that. But he had gone to the government and to get land in his name around what he had mortgaged to the bank.
Okay, so that answers that. Yeah.
That is it. Now, what happened? Because they had already sold to this group what was inside, it meant that the people who bought it the property was compromised. It was effectively nullified.
Yes.
So the only way Feinstein made offers to them to buy, but apparently the amount what was listed as what he was asking for, they felt that was too high. They just could not have given that. And when you look at some of those things, it seems to me that it gave them something that they couldn't offer, they couldn't accept. So therefore, the only way to be able to release up the project, to make the project work for what it was to be, which is a cruise ship tourism island place, the government then can acquire it for public purpose under the commercial side, just like our government acquire assets and properties for public use. So the
Yeah,
government
eminent domain.
the government decide that they will acquire it.
How much they would they have to give Finstein then? The market
Once,
value, right?
no, yeah, once they acquire it, the dispute will arise now is that what is it that the government must give Finstein? Firstly, Finstein can challenge whether the acquisition was within the context of the law. Secondly, if he accepts it, which I understand he did, but it was when it comes now to the payment, and that was where they were not able to agree on. What is it that the government? So that matter will have to be settled in the court.
But you jumped some steps there, because I don't think he accept. I don't think the government made an offer. This is my thinking from what I've seen. I don't think the government made an offer, and I don't think he have accepted any.
Mr. Gregory, the government cannot acquire your land without telling you what he's prepared to pay, and then you can sit with them.
No, but they haven't. Okay.
As far as you know, Greg, they haven't reached that stage. Is that it?
They have not got to that stage of financial settlement.
And Joe, you think they have?
They have to, because the minute the government does an acquisition, it does it. Though the person who owns it can either challenge the acquisition, or if he accepts the acquisition, it will then sit with the government to agree on what they should pay him.
May I ask a question? Does this land involve the initial stake bank, or just the additional area around it that was filled in?
It's the whole property.
It's not part of the initial stake bank that was supposed to be the cruise ship. That came after. The part that was initially was in a company name, and that is what they borrowed money from through that company.
And that was repossessed by the bank and sold to this new group.
That's right. But
the new group now needs access.
He had already bought land in his own name that was around that. And that is where the contention came in. That
kind of like a pound of flesh, but you can't get the flesh without the blood.
And the only way they can get it is through the government.
Yeah.
If the buyer, the person who bought under the mortgage agreement that bought it, they could not come to an agreement with Finstein.
Which is all that seems to be necessary, actually, right? Can't they be partners in this? Can't they move forward? It was initially Finstein's idea, right?
The reason why I wanted us to perhaps go through this aspect of it, then the next thing would have been, is it proper for Marco Rubio or any one of them, even if encouraged by Finstein, to now paint the lease with that kind of brush?
Well, it's in their best interest, you know.
I don't know what is in their interest. I'm talking about for we interest.
Oh, but you can't. Now I don't know if you're not. You hope you got a good slingshot, because on David against Goliath with a deal with.
No, I agree with doctrines and tenets, and I agree with pragmatism that must match doctrine and tenets. So
would you like me to read a little bit of what the U.S. Congressman Brian J. Maas wrote to Marco Rubio? Let's
hear. That might put some context to it. Go ahead.
All right. It says that in the form of a letter from the U.S. Congressman Brian J. Maas, who chairs the House Foreign Affairs Committee, he today wrote to U.S. Secretary of State Mario Rubio saying, quote, concerns have been raised with the committee regarding the state of rule of law in Belize and the potential implication for U.S. strategic interests, American investments, and the bilateral relationship. I would appreciate the State Department's assessment of recent investor disputes involving compulsory land acquisition to determine whether these issues warrant closer U.S. attention.
Now, who's the investor that bought the State Bank property? Is it American, Honduran? What does anybody know?
I think it's a Honduran that is involved right now.
Yeah. So now, but you understand what's happening here? They're opening up the door with the Americans' tendency to just step in and take over and use situations like these to justify any further move on their part. This is what I think makes it dangerous. Anybody agree?
I agree.
Well, I think what they're doing is using this situation in case that there are implications of American foreign investment in Belize. You got a lot of Americans invested in Belize, in resorts, tourism. I don't know what other investments they are in, if any industrial investments. But maybe these are just ringing little bells, touching some nerves and things like that, you know.
There's a little something that's they talk about little bells. Weren't the Finsteins at one time almost persona non grata with the Americans, and with the Americans step in to fight for their interests without some benefit to their personal
I
agenda in
don't
the
think
area?
it's so much. I think the big issue that the American involvement is placed on is whether Belize is operating truly transparent in terms of how government will act as it relates to private business, whether they will start imposing control on private business and seize them. I don't think it's so much to Mr. Finstein's interest, but
Have we
That's
had
part of
a
it.
have we had a
That's
history
part
of that? Have we had a history of such actions, as far as you know, to the point where
no,
we
not
make
not at all. This is new, and I don't encourage it, and I don't believe it is in Belize's best interest to have this type of. It may be in Mr. Finstein's personal interest, but it's definitely not in
but
our.
that is it. I am wondering if it's not a bit selfish to endanger our entire system here now by going that route and going to, and is it Mario or Marco Rubio?
Marco, it says in the newscast on
I
Channel 7.
thought you read
Marco.
Mario. Yeah, I thought you read Mario.
Marco.
Marco, right. All right. So was it really necessary and helpful? And now that might answer the question as to whether they were speaking because of that, or that happened because of what they were speaking, which we were talking earlier. You said maybe they heard that.
We have to believe that Mr. Feinstein feel aggrieved by the fact that the government took away his
they've been
property.
fighting it. They've been fighting it.
No, he's trying to grab every wet sword he can to kind of come out on his side. And
Which
I
kind of
don't
like,
believe,
yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
no,
Finish
no,
that up.
so, and I don't believe, as I was saying, it is in the nation's national interest to have this viewed in that arena, because this is Belize's internal affairs.
But what I think should happen though is the government should take a frank and objective look at this, and if there's grounds to that agreement, then maybe we should. He's a Belizean, and we should then take steps to fix this. Don't you think?
Well, the government was the one that pushed it. The government was the one that forced the sale and the eminent domain position over his private property. Although he had encumbered it in some bad ways. He had done what he did, and what he was trying to do with the bank, I think was not fair, and it could not stand, because
Go ahead.
You can't have an island and then develop, reclaim more land around the island, have a mortgage to that piece in the center, and say the pieces around it is my private property and it's not part of it. He had to have come up with some workable solution to say, okay, it is 9 acres or 15 acres now. I added another 9 acres. Give me 4 acres so I could develop something.
I hear you. Joe is trying to get in here. Go ahead, Joe.
That thing that Mr. Spooner read, I think he should read it again and listen good what they are saying. I believe that the United States authorities that acted in the way they did was unfair and unjust to this country. For the reason that if the matter is before the court, why don't they wait for the matter to be decided by the court? If the court rules that the government acted in accordance with the law and not inconsistent with the Constitution, they should not be casting aspersions at this country.
But Joe,
I don't think they have yet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't think they have. I don't think they have made a decision.
They have not acted. That's just one letter.
Yeah, look, what you're saying.
We're at the stage of a letter that was written to Marco Rubio. Yes. I don't think that the Americans have acted in any way yet. I have not heard any move in any one way or the other. I'm saying the implications, the possibilities.
I started out with what Marco Rubio said about Belize. Read it again, Mr.
No. It was a letter written
what
to
has
Marco
he said?
Rubio.
I haven't heard him say anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You want me to read it
No,
again?
he didn't say anything in the letter. He
Did
hadn't
Marco
responded
Rubio
to the
say
letter.
something, or was this
Yeah.
letter written
No,
to Marco Rubio?
no. This is what the letter was addressed to Marco Rubio.
All right. He has
Okay.
not responded.
There's no response in there about it
Right.
from
And we
him.
have not heard from him at all about that. I've
No,
not heard.
he
So,
just
Joe,
requested it.
they have not acted yet, but the potential of what that exists there, well, what can happen as a result of this, makes the move by the Finsteins maybe a bit self-serving and selfish, because I mean you're bringing down everybody because of the fact that you're not getting your issue resolved to your satisfaction.
But gentlemen, when we started this aspect, he came up with Marco Rubio. No. What happens is that if you should to read that thing again, who was it that wrote that letter? Wasn't it a
A
congressman?
congressman. A
A
congressman.
U.S. Congressman Brian J. Mast.
Yes, and he's a high-ranking person, a congressman,
Yes.
So what's the point, Joe?
because he's writing a letter
Yes.
casting aspersions at Belize. That's what I understand that letter.
No, he
was.
didn't cross any aspersion. He listed some facts. He said that they have that they need to look into, read the letter, because he said all he said they
Read it
need to
again.
look into the issue.
Read it again. Read it, please.
Okay. He this congressman wrote to the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying, "quote Concerns have been raised with the committee regarding the state of rule of law in Belize and the potential implications for U.S. strategic interests, American investments, and the bilateral relationship. I would appreciate the State Department assessment of the recent investor disputes involving compulsory land acquisition to determine whether these issues warrant closer U.S. attention."
So where's the American interest that's at stake here?
I don't
Well,
know. Musk goes
they're
on to
concerned.
reference the state bank issue directly, saying, quote, "I would like to understand the department's current assessment of whether these issues pose a systemic risk to American investors and businesses operating in Belize." And that's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay.
They're concerned. Will government
The
start
trend that's
taking
been
private
established,
property?
that the trend might be leading towards that.
Yes.
Yeah,
The implications of letters like these when they become public can affect investment in this country.
that was
Yes.
my
Oh,
point
yes,
from the
yes,
start.
invest in
Agreed.
climate. Yeah, definitely.
That was my point from the start, and the point for raising the
That's
issue.
what I thought we were talking about from the beginning.
That is it. That
Yes.
is it.
The
I
thing
believe
is who contacted the congressman, who initiated the congressman, and we don't know who initiated that.
well, who's
Remember
interested in it?
3 weeks. Remember 3 weeks ago we had that news program where the
Yes,
podcaster
we mentioned that.
had brought up this issue. You see, so those things are trending. Those things are happening, and people are paying attention. This is
Suppose
where
the
we
Finstein
need
Group
our government to be
initiated this.
transparent.
What concerns are there? Suppose the Finstein Group initiated this and contacted the
I don't know
congressman.
if the Finstein Group initiated. It seemed to have
No,
been
I'm
initiated
saying,
from that discussion.
suppose
No,
they
there's a question, hypothetical, yeah.
hypothetically.
Oh,
What
it's-
implications is that? Bring up.
And it's an interesting question. Does it mean then that it was maybe a selfish move on their part? Did they have the right maybe to do it as a last resort, that they were indeed being treated unfairly? And we need to look at the facts, as Joe would suggest. Let us look at the facts here as opposed to the opinions, because it's easy to get them confused here and murky, no? Get the water murky around State Bank, if you will. I'm concerned that though that he was able to do that, and Joe, wouldn't he have had to have had environmental clearance on that? If you're going to fill in land around an existing key as such,
You have to get permission, yeah.
But all that was done. He did everything legally. There was nothing illegal about what he did. He did it quite legitimately and legally.
And then, but then why could not the government have foreseen this, that something like this could happen?
Very good point, because
well, it wasn't government issue. It It was his deed it was his mortgage that he had with his bank that
No,
then
no,
came
no. But
into question.
no, no, Greg. He filling in that area surrounding the key was a government issue because that a government land. He would
That's
have to
correct.
clear that with the
No, but
environment.
he did that legally. He did that legally. He
You know
didn't do
that. You know
anything
that for a
wrong.
fact. You know that for a fact.
So I think the
Yes,
question
he
we
did
had,
that legally from
All right.
all
Mr.
indications. He
Morrison,
did that
I said
legally.
to you, I
What
said to you, I
what's
said just now that I took it that he did it legally. Though the question being raised by the chairman is a very salient question. You knew at the time the government
but
owned those.
that was different. That's different. That's different, Mr. Colley,
I just
than
finished the
No,
question.
you don't say what to say yet,
no.
Greg. Greg,
I don't
Greg,
say
you
No,
don't
no,
say
no,
what to
because
say yet,
you're
Greg.
leading
I
into
want
a
to
wrong spot.
I don't say nothing
No,
yet.
that's
You don't say
different.
nothing yet. How can you say that's different?
Yeah,
You
but
don't say nothing yet. Make it say what to say. Go ahead, Joe.
you sold this piece of land. This was mortgaged to the bank to develop. Now, when you're going to now say that you're going to want to buy the land around it, was it at a point in time when it was already known that this
Yes,
property was
that's the problem. That's the
therefore the
problem.
government should have had a second thought as to whether it should allow him to buy it?
And fill it
No.
in.
Stop
And that's
for
the
a
question I
moment.
think the chairman
Stop
should
for a
allow him.
moment. No. You're mixing up things. You're putting things in out of order. You're putting it out of order.
Tell me
He
why.
mortgaged to get a loan to develop the property. He went to the bank with the original property footprint, and he got a loan. He started developing the infrastructure on that building. He also went ahead with an additional program of reclaiming land around the key. But he's saying to the bank, all you have the mortgage for is for the 9 acres of land that was the original property that you mortgaged. The additional 7 acres that I have developed around it, you don't have a mortgage for that. That's when him and the bank got into some disagreement
No,
to
that's not true.
stop
That's
that
not true.
and to keep the
Reverend,
that's how it works. That's how it went.
I can guarantee you it's not
Mr.
true.
Howard, that's exactly how it went. That's exactly
No,
how it went.
no, it was not that. I spoke with the lawyers for
That's
both sides.
Mr. Howard.
No,
I
he
am
did.
positive.
Repeat what you
No,
said just now.
you're
Repeat.
wrong.
All right, repeat what you said.
I'm
That he
saying
went to
he
the,
had, I might be wrong with the acreage. He had an original acreage, let's say 7 acres of land for the key. He went to the bank and he got a loan for the 7 acres of land he has to develop that land. He got that money. He started building on the property. He also had another project where he was reclaiming additional areas of land around that 7 acres. So he made it like 15 total acres. When the bank repossessed, the bank said, we are entitled to everything, because he didn't put that in the deed. He didn't put that additional acres as part of the loan agreement, loan instrument. That's how it went. Go check it out and you'll find.
let me bring you up to something which is factual. One, when he went to the bank, remember he had already put up some of his own money into it. He did.
That has nothing to do with it. You're conflating stuff. Of course, you put up some of your money. That's not the point.
No, he went to the bank. And what happened? The bank was extremely supportive to the point that before the mortgage was concluded, hold on, I want to tell you one thing that came up in the court. This is what is coming up. So, when he gone and before he could have completed the mortgage and all the documents, the bank began to release money to him. The bank was releasing money in hoping that they were
I'm
doing
not
it.
disputing any of that. That's not in contention. I'm not arguing about the dispersion of the money.
There was no dispute with the bank as to the piece around it. The bank knew that was not in it. The bank knew. How the bank now know that?
The bank was in dispute. Mr. Coy, you're wrong. The bank was in this. The bank, Mr. Coy, that's
what was mortgaged to the
One at a time. One at a time.
What was mortgaged to the bank was under the name of a company, a limited liability company. That was what was mortgaged. The piece around it.
I'm not disputing that. I'm agreeing with that.
The mortgage he had was with the name of the company. The piece around it was in his name. So
that's the point. That's my point. That's my point.
No dispute.
I'm not arguing that. That's what I'm saying.
You are saying that there was a dispute between the bank and him as to the piece around it. There was no dispute with that. That is why the issue is coming up.
He wasn't saying that. The dispute was that the bank wanted to claim the whole thing as opposed just to the
Yes.
piece inside.
Which is not true.
Yes,
It's not.
yes,
That's not true. You're saying.
yes.
I know for a
That's
fact.
exactly what happened. The bank was saying you cannot develop that piece and not be part of the original deed that we
So
that we
the people
agreed
that-
for the loan.
That's different, Mr. Gregor. That's different from what you are saying.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, the bank there. Look at the bank was so supportive that you know what he did afterwards? After when the bank decided to foreclose, he went public to smear the name of the bank and to take action against the bank.
But if the bank was so supportive, why would they initiate foreclosure?
Exactly. Why would he sue the bank? Yeah.
Why would he sue the bank?
And what happened to the causeway?
What? No, he never sued the bank. He didn't sue the bank. He
But
didn't.
I thought you just said
he was
that.
going to sue the bank.
No, he didn't sue the bank. I am saying to you that he brought up a case to try to show where that as if though the contractual arrangement was not legal because the bank was releasing funds before they had completed the mortgage. And he brought up all of those
But you're bringing up unnecessary
Hold on,
points. That has nothing. That
I'm
has
saying
nothing
you-
to do.
The dispute
No.
between him and the bank had nothing to do with the piece around it because that was in his name. The bank had only
That was
taken
the dispute, Mr.
All
Cowley.
right. So
That
how
was
did
the
we
dispute.
get? How did we get to that? How did we get to a dispute? The bank foreclosed on the mortgage. Therefore, they then sold the piece of land to somebody else to cover the mortgage that was not being honored by Finstein. Finstein then says to the bank, listen, you that all right, that piece that for you, this piece around it, I filled in and I got an additional title for that. This is mine.
Yes.
But these people that you're selling this land to can do nothing with this land unless they can come to an agreement with me about this
Exactly.
other piece.
Well,
now,
that's not-
if the bank is so supportive, don't you think the bank would have done what they could to facilitate that merger between the two and some agreement that could
Yes.
work?
That's
Wouldn't that
exactly
have
the
made
position.
sense?
which
That's
number
exactly the position. And that's when the government. That's when the government stepped in. That's when the government stepped in and did the eminent domain.
I am saying
Because they said that
there was
that
never
he-
a dispute with the bank and Finstein over the piece around it. They knew that that was not under the mortgage. They knew that, and
But they
tried.
wanted it to be. They were telling him
They
that
tried-
you
the
could
bank
not have
tried to
done
get him.
that in your.
No, hold on, man. The bank tried to get him. The group that bought it was the Bezos group who owned the Atlantic Bank. The same group who bought it owned the bank.
So the bank buy it for itself.
Well, they are shareholders, yeah.
Yeah, some kind of contract
Well,
interest there, don't you think?
They tried to get him to agree with him to buy the piece around it, knowing that they never had any mortgage on it. But when they couldn't agree, because Finstein was asking too much, he went to the point that he wanted to give him he wanted him to get a percentage of all the vessels, all the ships that landed there. He was to get a share of it.
Yes,
So he gave several things that he wanted.
yes.
And they felt that they just cannot give it. It's too outrageous. It's ridiculous.
It wasn't outrageous. It was a negotiating point.
No, man. Look at just on it. No. When he gave them an offer, which they could not accept, it was too
Which
ridiculous.
they were unwilling to accept. Come on now.
Mr. Gregory,
You and I know how.
Either way, with
negotiation
the
goes.
space. No, but
Mr.
just
Gregory,
one choice of words.
if you had bought that property, now where some of the big money will come, you know, the big income will come. It says from when the ships they come there, they have to pay. What he wanted to do was to have a share in that forever. No,
Mhm.
the buyer, the other group certainly would not have supported it. Why is it that I must now give you revenue from our revenue, a portion of our revenue forever into the future to get that piece of land? That's why those were the things.
Because they're because he was trying to establish a partnership, Mr. Cowley.
Yes. Don't you see, Joe, that is common sense in that?
He
though?
was trying to establish a partnership.
If he wanted a partnership, all he had to do then was to say, well, let's have a partnership.
All right,
Well,
maybe said
that's what
that and
they
they
were unwilling
refused.
to do. That's what they wanted to have outright ownership.
I'll ask you something, though. Maybe we should get this clear. Where did you get that information from?
I read it and I listened to his interview.
All right. No, you read it. And I
I
read the
read it,
same
and
thing
he
you
had
read.
he had done an extensive
And
interview.
I spoke with both lawyers to try to get an understanding of what was at the heart of the dispute. So what happened indeed? The truth came is that they just couldn't give him what he wanted, and the only way they could have gotten it was to go to the government. And that is why the government decided to do what they did.
They didn't even go to the government. The government went to the company and said, you could take over this project, and the company said, we don't want to take it over unless we have full ownership of all the land. And
Mr.
that's when the
Gregory,
government did the
Mr.
eminent
Gregory, that is
domain.
not true. I am talking to you about the persons who represented the government in the discussion. It's not like that. They
So,
did
all right, hold on. Make we say,
let
Gregory,
the government.
hold on, Joe. Don't interrupt him, Gregory. Let Joe give us a hypnosis of this whole thing. Tell us what, as far as you know, what transpired and how we got to the point where we are now, where it seems an impasse.
We got to the point where they are because of the piece of land that surrounded what
We know
was
this, yeah.
lawfully and legally belonging to the people who bought it. No
Uh-huh.
dispute on that.
Uh-huh.
The issue came up that when now it's time for them to buy the rest, they could not come to an agreement with Finstein to buy what was outside. When they couldn't come to the agreement, it was when they went to the government, and the government decided to facilitate it, which they can do under the law. They have
Was it fair for them to take sides like that? Because it seemed like they
the issue of the fair, the court can decide. Because you see, you have public acquisition for properties for public use.
So, Joe, is this still before the courts?
Yes. Now you have another.
Wasn't this then preemptive on their part to go?
Well, I would have
congressman.
That's what I would have thought, that let the matter be settled first by the court, because there is a provision for commercial acquisition also by government. So this was a case of where it was a commercial mode type acquisition to allow the project to continue. And what the government would be saying, in a sense, is that the project was in the national interest of the country. It was. And the only way the project can get moving is if the government intervene and acquire, and that's why they did it.
Let me say something. I like the Finsteins. I like the sister Melita, and I think she's in the center of the argument here. But I don't know that I would have been so hasty, knowing the possibilities of some such move, in particular given the condition of the whole geopolitical state right now, where something like this can just spiral into something that involves a whole lot more than just this little thing here. Was the government wise in making that move and picking sides without actually looking at all that could have transpired as a consequence of that move? What do you think happened here?
Let me speak. Mr. Corey went off last time. You know, there are a number of issues in what the government did. They exercise eminent domain. Generally, eminent domain is for private land for public use. This was private land for private use. This is not a government project. The government weighed in on it, saying that they have the country could benefit significantly by having a port and having all this revenue and stuff, and having order in terms of where the ships can dock and so forth. So
I love this point.
We understand that, but what they have done was to so broaden the public use that I think the court needs to come up and say whether government in the first place could have made that ruling so broad. That is part of the concern. When the Mr. Coy said that I'll just roll back a little bit, then I'll turn it back over. When they had built out the first portion, when they had the first harvest key, the first portion, and they built around it, the bank and Mr. Feinstein could never agree on a sum. They never agreed. And what I think he was looking for is to have a partnership where he would continue to have ownership in the property and would get a revenue stream continuously on the property and not an outright sale. These people, these new investors were unwilling to partner with him and to make the project work in that manner. So that's my understanding of it, and that's what I have gathered from a conversation he was having, and also from what I've read on this issue.
What's funny here to me, though,
My
and
turn.
a very important point here, is that it turns out these new investors are in fact the bank that gave the mortgage and cancel the mortgage in order that they can proceed with this deal. There's something here seems to me a conflict of interest at some point. Nobody's seen that.
To me, the issue.
Well, I don't. I think the bank, once they have it, once the mortgage fails, I think they had exercised a great deal of tolerance. The project had been stalled. It's like 3 or 4 years, 2 or 3 years behind schedule. The investors that were in it saw overrun costs and they backed out. So it looks like the project was going to stall unless he could bring in brand new investors. And so the bank was at extreme risk. I don't think they did anything wrong in recalling the loan, from what I've seen.
But that's not the point. I'm objecting to. Recalling the loan are one thing, but then using that, investing in the property themselves, something seems to me out of
No,
order.
you could do that. Once you own it, you could do whatever
can,
you
of
want,
course,
right?
You can do it, but I mean, I'm just saying, if I lend you some money on your house, you can't pay the mortgage for the money. So I then decide to buy the house. As the bank doing that, you don't see nothing out of order there.
Not really.
Okay,
Because I've seen in the case of banks in Belize and DFC where they had loan money for private and credit union, where they had lend money for private property. When they go into failure, the banks or the credit union or the DFC says, "Oh, this is a good property. I'll make this my office."
Can I just read something here for you? It was in the Amandla, January the 30th, 2025. It'll give you some idea of what size of land that Mr. Finstein is claiming. It says the High Court has cleared the way for the government of Belize to proceed with its compulsory acquisition of the 23.4-acre State Bank Island extension placed in the name of businessman Michael Finstein in 2021. The extension landlocked the inner portion of the island comprising 16.085 acres bought in 2004. And since the disputed ownership of the extension is in court, completion of the Port Coral Cruise Port project spearheaded by State Bank Enterprises has been stalled. So it looks like the outer area is like
24 acres
or 7 to 8 acres of land.
Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, gentlemen, the substance of the issue is whether the government did what they did in accordance with the law. That is it.
But
that is correct.
Spooner, you said something there. You said
Yes.
something there was that because it was tied up in court, the project was stalled.
Yes.
So if the project was stalled because it was tied up in court, then Gregory, when you said it was stalled for 3 or 4 years and they could not make their payment, it was you or
No.
that said that.
The timing is different. The timing is different. I'm saying this was before it got to that point. He became kind of insolvent, and he was moving slow. The project was moving slow. It was 3 or so years behind
And
schedule.
that was before the
what
court.
happened, he had a Mexican investor and contractor that was doing the project, and they were working apparently without getting funding, without getting money, right? They weren't being paid as they were doing the construction, and he was promising to pay them. At some point, they pulled off the project, and the project just went totally dormant. Then, some months or so after that, the bank decided to foreclose on the property. And that's what got us to where we are. Then once the bank foreclosed, just one point, once the bank foreclosed, he says, okay, you own that 17 or 19, 23 acres or whatever number, 36 acres, and I own the 24 acres around the island. And they said, no, we own everything. And that's where the dispute came. When the dispute came, the government came back and said, we can't have this. We need to get this project underway. It is so vital to our national interests. We need to get this project going. And the government decided to exercise eminent domain and to take the property away from Mr. Feinstein. They have not, to my knowledge, agreed on a price yet of what he should be paid. They just went ahead and dispossessed him of his property. So I think Mr. Colley said that they have agreed on a price. To my knowledge, they have not. Maybe there's some floating numbers. Maybe there's some floating numbers. Mr. Colley, it's not final yet. They just went ahead and took it.
What I'm saying, Mr. Gregory, because we are going wrong and wrong. What I'm saying, that the issue came up because of what we heard happen in the United States with this concern expressed by this Congressman Tom Rubio.
Yes.
The issue then was, do we believe as Belizeans that what that concern raised, do you believe that it's a concern that should have been raised and legitimate and in our national interest? All I am saying then, the only thing that could justify that concern is if when it goes to court, the government is found to be wrong in the acquisition. That is what could cause aspersions on us. And let me tell you why the aspersions will come. When they gone to acquire Ashcroft property, that was when that thing was out there. Ashcroft made a thing of it. He went so far to put it as if though that investors should not come to Belize because of the government being so corrupt and acquiring private property lands.
Well, he was in the House of Lords at that time, right? So he was big in the UK government.
What the issue should be and the concern for us is whether government acted in accordance with the law or not. And that is our concern. Because if the government is proven to have acted arbitrarily, recklessly, and inconsistent with the Constitution, obviously it could cause aspersions at this country when it comes to
and that's the concern that the congressman raised. Yes. Is the government acting in
that concern, but we went all around and all we have to do
no, because we're talking about the issue in full. But my concern is that what the government did, in exercising eminent domain, they have sort of stretched widely the position, because the eminent domain is private property for public use. That is how it's specified. The government have broadened the definition of public use to say.
Well, all right, that is in question. What public domain and how far can the government go with that?
Exactly.
Is it okay? And you were saying it's from public to private. I mean, private to public, but this is private to private.
That's
so maybe it would not be in the public domain.
That's correct. Maybe the exercise of eminent domain may not have been fully constitutional.
They've stretched it too far. Was the causeway involved in that too? Remember there was a
no? I think the causeway is a separate project.
Because that was the run from Stake Bank to Fort George. Remember?
That's a separate project.
They had cancelled that. Well, let me come back to this. I slipped in again. I come back to the point that when the government did what it did, we can give our opinion. When the government acquires something for the public purpose, it doesn't mean that it has to be used and owned by the government. No. He can act in the public interest. You find it happens outside, especially right in America. If you find that there is a business in this country right now, what you call too big to fail, and the government step in and decide to lend money to it, this is quite within the Constitution. So when government feels that there is a particular investment in a country, in Belize, that is so much in the national interest, and the only way they can get the project to advance towards the national interest is to do what it did. That is the argument the government is putting.
But you're kind of the murky water.
That's what our courts need to decide, Mr. Colley. That's what our courts need to decide.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's not murking the water. We need the waters. We need the difference of opinion to be cleared up by the court.
Well, but I think the sticking point here is the eminent domain. Does the government was it a reach too far? Aaron Anderson saying the GOP and the Jennifer saying, see, you're going from an extreme here, which would I rather not go down. and the political aspect of it. Because listen, if we're talking about corruption in government, we saw 13 years at UDP was certainly not exemplary when it comes to that. But let us not go there. But there's something here that I think the government has to clear up, because if they did go too far in this eminent domain thing, and maybe they should have used some other law. But the law of eminent domain, and I understand what Greg was saying, and Joe, you're saying you don't agree with that. That is when government acquires something, it doesn't necessarily have to be for the public good, because it's stated as for the public good.
Yes, but what it says as public good is not what he is inferring as public good, it seems to me. When you say public good,
I'm not viewing any opinion on what public good is.
It doesn't mean that it must be owned by the state. No.
No, I'm saying specifically what the law says. Government can acquire private property for the public good.
Public purpose.
Is giving it to a private person the public good? That's what the court needs to decide. That's right. What I'm saying.
What issue there? From the beginning, that's what I thought.
And you know, a funny thing, because it's obvious that if the cruise port, which is needed in Belize, we need a deep water port. We need a port where people could come and disembark without have to face the rough waters coming in at time. They've had to cancel some of those visits. So we need that. Now, and the question would be, is that sufficient to be qualified as public domain, as public interest, or public good? And maybe
I don't know if they have sold the property yet to the investor group. I don't know if there is any where that stands. I still have to figure out where that stands.
If the Finsteins have sold that additional piece to them.
No. If the government sold have made the transfer of the entire 75 acres to the investor group yet. I don't know if
it's just a proposal. It might be just a proposal at this point.
It may well be.
Which would be then that you're kind of jumping the gun and running all the way to the State Department in the U.S.
Exactly.
Well, it could be, but it could be that the concern is still legitimate, right?
Preemptive
strike, is that it? But then the implications are huge, Gregory. Don't you think so?
Gregory, yes. Gregory, remember something. You have a saying, right? That a man is innocent until proven guilty.
No, presumed innocent.
Presumed innocent.
But you know that's different. That's different in that's different in civil law, right?
You know why I have my concern? Whosoever initiated that kind of letter and that kind of concern when they express, I don't see them have any good for Belize.
Joe, I just found something which might be interesting why that letter was initiated in the national perspective. I guess that's Omar Silva's
right. Yeah.
No, who's the national perspective?
Omar Silva. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. I was right then. Okay, it says here, American developer Michael Finstein.
American developer. Is he an American citizen then?
Ray must be.
Interesting. Okay. That's it. That puts a whole new light.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. You have to look at this issue to try to understand what is the motive. The motive is of concern to us. When you cast aspersions like that on this country, this is not about PUP and UDP, my brother. This is about Belize.
But the funny thing, as far as you know, weren't the Finstein supporters of the PUP for a long time?
I don't matter who they support. I just support Belize first, then my party.
I hear you, but that's
no. I mean that. I tell you that anybody who want to put them party of this country are traitors, and they should be treated as traitors.
Okay, and I can see where you're going with that, and I understand, because it could hurt us in more ways than one.
That's right.
And it could be a terrible backlash, and given the geopolitical situation that we're facing with now worldwide, where we're putting ourselves in harm's way, and I know a good place to be. We don't have any backative. We're too
But it'd be
vulnerable for
interesting,
that.
G Mike. It'd be interesting that once now that this letter has been initiated and it's looked into by Marco Rubio's committee, what will be their conclusions? That would be very interesting.
What kind of move they'll make.
Yeah.
Again, though, listen to me now. There are certain things you have to look at. Belize has been resistant to the giving up of the Cuban doctors. Number one, Marco Rubio obviously has a hard on for the Cubans, and he want to punish them and anybody that's sympathetic towards them. Are we going to see some tariffs here that we ain't got trouble with? Are we going to see some visas being canceled?
Well, Mr. Chairman, what I am seeing right now, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wish we are all seeing it. What Mr. Spooner read just now give me an insight into something now that needs to be questioned. The U.S. Congress would never have made a move unless it was an American citizen involved. They should not. So we are casting aspersion that then maybe if this person is an American citizen, then they have a right to do what they are doing. You go to your area representative, your congressman, and you make a report. So I will qualify my position. If the person who made that complaint to the Congress is a U.S. citizen, then to me, yes, they have a right to look into it because they must protect U.S. citizens with their investment abroad. So ask yourself, is the person a U.S. citizen or not?
Yeah, do you know whether I always thought if it stands with Belizeans. I always thought that.
They're Belizeans.
And are they Jewish descent as far as you know? The name would seem to imply that they're Jewish of some sort, right? In which case, then we play with Hatafire. That was a situation that will have to be looked into.
But I don't think G Mike they're practicing Jews. I think they're just Belizean.
Just the name.
Their grandfather Benny was in fact a Jew. I knew him personally. He was living just over next door to us. He was a Jew, no doubt, but they're not. I think Mr. Spooner is right. They're not practicing Jews as such.
Again, though, that you have to realize that when people have solidarity with other that they want to, they need all the support they can get. This would be something that they could join and fight to show that they're widening their support, if you will. That one very touchy situation, and one ticklish matter. I don't know. We need more information on it. I hope we have awakened some discussion on this, and we'll see more. I hope the government is paying attention to it because it is worth that. I mean, we don't want to be put out there on the limb and in a vulnerable situation. I think they jumped the gun on it. That is my point of view. And
I think well, the big issue that I see and why he may be contesting it is that he felt aggrieved by them taking the property when in fact I think he was willing to establish it as a partnership to maintain some control over it.
But was he asking too much?
That he didn't have the funding to complete the project after so many years and dreams and efforts on it. But I'm thinking that he would have agreed to some type of partnership because.
Well, the question is how realistic was he being? Was he being unrealistic in the demands? And that is a question that has to be answered too.
Well, that I don't know what that is. Only he could answer that question.
Yeah, so we'd have to get that. I wish we could have him on. And guys, we're out of time.
Mr. Chairman, should I say something just before we close?
Please do, sir.
I believe that the budget speech was just given, and perhaps maybe you would have preferred we wait until the debate. But I thought it was something that maybe would have.
Is there anything in there that you thought was worthy of mention?
Well, it's not this. The time is too short now. I'm just mentioning it.
Right.
Perhaps you can look at it for another week or so.
Yeah.
Well, next week.
I think it was $1.9 billion.
Is that good or bad?
The amount? Well,
I wish I had that kind of money.
Well, when government is spending $800,000 in salaries and stuff, I think it's bad because we need to bring that more into order so that we can have a true workable economy and not everybody depending on the government to be the source of employment.
I believe I believe Ed Koch was the guy who used the term, how am I doing? Was the government to ask at this point, how am I doing? Could it be favorable or unfavorable? What do you think?
Hello?
Favorable, Jeremy, unfavorable? Which one? How am I doing?
I'm not on the ground, so I don't know. But I see a lot of issues where the government had failed. Not so much so on the economic part. One of the area on the economic part that I looked at was how much of the new debt we have. We have like $3.8 billion in debt right now.
Big question,
And I wanted
Gregory.
to know how much of that debt has been created in the last six years or so.
Big question. Can you put political bias aside in looking at that matter?
Of course.
All right, good.
Because
All right,
those are
that's
facts. Those
all.
are facts.
I'm just asking. Yeah.
Before we part, I'd just like to big up the Belize City Council and the Baron Bliss Regatta Committee. They had a wonderful venue on Seashore Drive in Buttonwood Bay to celebrate Baron Bliss, and there were a lot of vendors out there, all kinds of food and everything. They had music, and it was it could have been more attended, but they were saying that probably the advertising for the event was not promoted as it should have been. But they're going to be looking to doing it again next year. And I spoke to some of the residents, and they have no issues about the venue being there. No?
Were they competing with the Ruta Maya? And how did that
Well,
I think it was different timing, right?
same day, right? Same day.
No, same day, but the
the
timing
9th
when
was
the
Sunday,
races
not
started
the
and
Monday.
ended.
It was on the 9th. It was on Sunday that they had this regatta.
Yeah,
out there
but
in
Sunday
Button
was
Bay.
big in Barrel Boom too. You know that. That was up
Okay.
there.
Yeah.
So that one, I don't
I'm
know.
more of a Baron Bliss supporter than I am the La Ruta Maya. Yeah,
Well,
I think they should have put the Ruta Maya on another weekend and not taking it away from the historical, the all tradition of what all of us grew up with the Baron Bliss Day.
How did the finish work out? How did it finish? We got it finished at the Grand Resort. All right.
Not as good as not good. I think we all saw the videos on Facebook and the solidarity. 30 boats paddled. They went by the Grand Resort, turned around, and went back to the Belcan Bridge. And I was watching Love FM, and they were calling up boats, and nobody was coming up. They were all gone, most of them.
They went at the Grand Resort. Yeah.
At the Grand Resort, they were calling up for their trophies and so on, but all the paddlers and their crew had gone down to Belcan Bridge, and they got a big reception there, which gave a lot of people cool feed.
Interesting. Guys, same time, same place next week.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. CY, we're done here.
The next week, the Corey, Joe and Mike. Corey next week.
Well, I hope they can show up next week.
Okay, Steve, good night. Wait.
Yeah, you got that one, nigga. You won the battle, boy, but you ain't win the war. You ain't heard the last of me. This is a Black Pearl message direct to the enemy. You ain't heard the last of me because my get back is real. Just wait, nigga, you gon' see. You ain't nigga, you gon' fuck my whole quick fast on the motel floor. Don't you lie, little nigga, bitch, told me so. You're supposed to be a player with no shame on his plate. I'm gonna get your black ass, but I'm gonna sit back and wait. Cause when the time is right and I catch you uptight like a savage pit bull, you gon' melt when I bite. Payback is the mother punk, I thought you knew. I'm fucking mom, sister, granny, chump before I'm through. I'm not done yet, I'm gonna take this to the highest court. Because fucking niggas whine, to me is a sport. You should've never crossed the line, you went and fucked with mine. Now I'm gonna turn your girl out about 100 times. I'll leave a lost to turn out without a place to go. They call it get back, but fucking with my hoe at the mall. Play dumb.
Think call. Breaking news. Members say newsy news. Designed by the shit stem to keep your man fused and previews. Propaganda, fake news, distort your views. Have grown people to compromise their values. Know what? Breaking news. News breaking. The whole of Belize is talking. Breaking news. News breaking. Poor people just keep on suffering. Breaking news. News breaking. Mama, please stop crying. Breaking news. News breaking. Scratching me head, contemplating. I am very elated that they find Kelvin. Even though we don't get the full overstanding yet. What about the rest of people them missing? Families still in a mourning. Psychological desensitizing. So when the real hit the fan, it won't be alarming. Breaking news is distracting. They want me keep forgetting about McAfee and the shit eating. Mason, Pastor Lou beheading. All the gun smuggling. The delivery man, them killing. Passport duplicating. All the people under them keep on thieving. We need a solution for the gang banging. But no the threat, breaking news, investigating. Breaking news, news breaking. The whole of Belize is talking. Breaking news, news breaking. Poor people just keep on suffering. Breaking news, news breaking.